Hi, this is Stan Bush.
Hi, this is Stephanie Calvert.
This is John Payne.
This is Jack Hughes.
Hey everyone, this is Britt Lightning from Vixen.
Hey everybody, this is Prescott Niles.
Hi, I'm Carrie Stevens.
Hello, I'm Kofi Baker.
Listening to Play That Rock and Roll.
This is not a test. This is Play That Rock and Roll. I'm your host, Joe K., and today is the first of 3 episodes that feature our coverage of ROCKNPOD 2025. This first episode is a panel discussion that I hosted with the co-director of the 2019 documentary YNT On With The Show, Mark White. On With The Show is a fantastic documentary that covers the full history of the band YNT. Mark co-directed this with his friend Geoff Ganz. Geoff, unfortunately, was not able to attend ROCKNPOD, but Mark was. So we were able to have a conversation about the making of this film. In this interview, Mark tells us about how he got connected with YNT, why he wanted to make this documentary, and how he and Geoff went about putting it together, which included many interviews with big-name rock stars and also original members of this band, several of whom are sadly no longer with us. As a fan of rock docs, this is one of the best I've ever seen. So it was obvious to me why ROCKNPOD wanted to feature a panel discussion around it. YNT is a fantastic band, and I absolutely love rock documentaries. So this was an interview I was really excited for. And it helps that Mark is a great guy who was a lot of fun to talk to. So I need to say thank you to Mark for his stories and candor. But I actually have a couple of other people I need to thank as well. The first is Andy Connors, who is the tech guy at ROCKNPOD. He recorded the audio and video for this interview. It turned out better than the stuff I recorded, so I really appreciate that Andy got that for us. Thank you very much, Andy. You were a godsend. Next, I need to say thank you to Chris Sinzak from the Decibel Geek podcast. It was Chris who recommended me to host this panel discussion. I take that as a huge compliment, so thank you very much, Chris. I appreciate that. And also his co-host, Aaron Camaro, who's been a special guest co-host on this podcast in the past. Aaron was nice enough to bring me and Mark on stage. That was awesome. Aaron, thank you for doing that. But most of all, I need to say thank you to Tracy McAndrew, who coordinated this whole thing for us. And I'm really underselling it by saying that way. Tracy coordinated everything about ROCKNPOD this weekend. And from my perspective, the whole weekend went off without a hitch. It was a best case scenario. It was a really special time. So Tracy, thank you for everything you did to make that weekend happen. And I had an absolutely wonderful time. But with that, let's get back to the panel discussion. If you'd like to see YNT On With The Show, it is streaming on Amazon Prime for rent or for purchase. Unfortunately, disc copies are only available from the band's merch stand. So if you get a chance to see YNT in concert, make sure you get one from them. If you'd like to hear more from Mark, you can check him out on his radio show, Rock and Roll Happy Hour with Mark and Frankie J, which airs on krfkradio.com and is also available in podcast form. You can learn more about that show on their Facebook and Instagram pages. And with that, here's my interview from the main stage at ROCKNPOD 2025 with the co-director of the 2019 documentary YNT On With The Show, Mark White.
This is the story of one of America's most influential and enduring rock bands.
How many Y&T fans do we have in the house? If you're a true fan of Y&T, you can't be over there. You can't be back there. You've got to be right here. Live studio audience right now talking about Y&T. You need to be a part of it. Come on over here right now. Grab yourself a front row seat right here, because I got to introduce to you my friend, Joe K from Play That Rock and Roll. Let's talk some Y&T.
All right, here we go. Mark, how you doing today?
I'm not bad, for me.
That's good. All right. That's better than some. Okay, so we are here to talk about your documentary, Y&T, On With the Show, which is streaming on Amazon Prime.
That's
correct?
right. Yep, Amazon Prime, On With the Show, Y&T. We used to be able to get the DVDs at Y&T shows. So if you're lucky to see a Y&T show in the US now, which is very hard to do, you can still get one, and you've got to get this for the second DVD in it as well, and the extras. But for now, you can download it on Amazon Prime. On With the Show, do it today.
Absolutely. I did it last week, and I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I am a huge rock doc nerd, and so I got a high standard, but it absolutely knocked it out of the park. I thought it was really good. So your history with Y&T goes back before the documentary. You've been you've worked with them for years. Can you tell us about how did you get started with Y&T?
Well, I was minding my own damn business. And, Mike Vanderheel, the current drummer for Y&T, we went to school together. We played in band together. I played sax and he played trumpet. And we lost track of each other over the years, but then I went to the Catalyst in Santa Cruz, and lo and behold, Y&T was playing. And I'm like, and then Dave's all, on drums, Mike Vanderheel. I'm like, Mike Vanderheel? I know that guy. And so I caught up with him after the show, and we started hanging, and I was going through a little cancer at the time, so I was doing some of those bucket list things. Since I'm a drummer, and Mike's a great drummer, and we're friends, I said, Mike, I want to play some drums more. How do you do certain things? I want to do some lessons. So we started doing lessons and talking more than playing. And but in there, I opened my big mouth and said, well, if you ever need a drum tech, let me know. And he called me one day and he goes, what are you doing? And for the next 9 years, I turned into Mike's drum tech. And then from there, I turned into the guitar tech and then stage manager and met Ron Keel. And the rest is history.
Wow, and that's an awesome history. So at some point you came up with the idea to do a documentary. Where did that idea come from?
Well, again, Mike and I were minding our own business drinking.
As you do.
And, I looked at him and I go, Mike, how come this band doesn't have a documentary, man? It's almost, it's going to be 40 years and like 5 years from now. And, I guess that would be 35. And he goes, well, it's really expensive. And I had been messing around making videos just for myself because I was sitting behind the drums and I was getting great shots. And then I made some videos for the band. And I went up to Dave and I go, well, Mike threw the idea out at Dave, and then we had a discussion. And I said, why don't you just let me do it? We'll keep it in-house, we'll keep the costs down, we'll make a deal. And that's exactly what we did.
Well, excellent. And it turned out really well. So when you decided to make this documentary, are you someone who watched a lot of rock docs, through your life? Were there certain other previous rock documentaries that inspired you, that made you, maybe gave you ideas on how you wanted to tell this story?
Well, that's a lot. Well, my inspiration for any filmmaking came from De Anza College in Cupertino when I went to school for video, and we would make our own rock and roll lip sync videos. And so that was fun. Oh my God. But then we were, like I said, screwing around making videos for Y&T. Like we made one for Mean Streak and stuff, and we were all laughing. Dave's like, no one's ever going to see this. But they really liked it. And what is that one with the band? That documentary they did, The Last Dance.
Oh, The Last Waltz.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the Iron Maiden one, 666. And there's so many now that are coming out that are awesome. So the inspiration was because I'm a huge fucking Y&T fan. And when they said yes to make their documentary, I'm like, this is a once in a lifetime thing. I never made a feature film in my life. So I got with my best friend, Geoff Ganz, who is the co-producer on this. He's a card-carrying deadhead. And I go, this is going to be great. Best friends making a Y&T documentary. What could go wrong?
Well, that's a great story. So I recently saw the new Becoming Led Zeppelin documentary in theaters, and I thought that one was really well, but the big emotion I had walking out of that was I wanted more. I wanted that story to keep going. And absolutely. And the reason I like your documentary as much as I do is that I didn't leave feeling the same way because you told the whole story. You told their origin, you told their peak, you told what happened after, you told where they're at now. How important was it for you to make sure you told it from start to finish?
Before Motley Crue.
That's right.
Okay. Before Metallica, there was Y&T. Everybody looked up to Y&T. They wanted to be like Y&T when they were playing at the Starwood. You ask any rock star that wasn't a rock star before before, like I said, Metallica, Motley Crue, they all wanted to be like Y&T. And, like I said, I was so blown away to get the opportunity to do this. There's no way you can just do one segment of Y&T. You just can't. Because the beginning, Beautiful Dreamer, that first album and their evolution of how Dave's singing went from, the first album to fucking Earthshaker, man. And Leonard, Thunderfoot. There's no way. And just the evolution of all the people that came into this band and are now currently in it, there's no way you could just do, one segment. So we had to shove 40 years into 2 hours and 15 minutes. That was quite the undertaking. But I'm the man to do it. And my friend, you got to give it up for Geoff Ganz, my best friend and co-producer of this documentary. I asked him to be here, but he didn't want to fly out from New York. He doesn't like flying. But he says to say hello and thank you for the opportunity for me to speak on his behalf as well.
Absolutely. You guys both did a good job together, so give a shout out to him. His loss for not making it out here today.
We love you, Geoff.
So, given that the scope of this project, you interviewed so many people. Tell us about the timeline of putting it together. When you first came up with the idea and how the interviews started going and how long it took to edit, because I know this was a multi-year project.
Well, it's 4 years of my life I won't get back. But, we just started interviewing. And, I know you're going to ask me this later, but I'm going to say it now. We are so lucky to interview at least 15 people in this video that are no longer with us. So, especially Leonard and Joey, they never got to see the film. Phil Cannemore was gone before I ever started it. And one thing about Phil Cannemore that Dave and Mike and everybody who knew him told me, he said, if Phil was alive, he would be at your house every day and your best friend. So, and I wish we had a lot of footage from Phil Cannemore, but we don't, and we didn't. But, I don't even know. I could be here all day talking about putting this whole thing together. We just started, what do we need to do first? Let's start at the beginning. And we just kept going. And the reason a lot of people go, we had a GoFundMe thing, and it's been 2 years, and when is this thing coming out? We just kept finding more stuff and digging and finding more archives. And Dave gave me all of his memorabilia boxes, and we were taking pictures, and it took forever to finally get it. We actually had to put a stop on finding any more stuff, even though I found a whole treasure trove. Dave's like, no, this thing's got to come out. But it was a long, arduous process.
Let's talk a little bit about those archives that you explored. Obviously you shot a bunch of footage for this, but going through some of the band members' archives, where did you find a lot of this video footage that you used, especially from the old days?
Well, a lot of it was a guy, Kelly Sanders, who was one of the very first techs. He was probably the biggest Y&T fan. He's in the documentary. But he came over and we spent 2 days, and he brought all these boxes of videos and pictures and all of these posters that you see in there. He saved everything. And it was a treasure. He came in and we opened his box and he's like, "You're not going to believe what I have, man. Look at this poster and that." And we just started snapping pictures of everything and interviewing him and getting drunk and smoking weed. But it was stuff like that. Dave had his treasure trove of stuff. Leonard, his house burnt down, but he still had some things. Joey Alves gave us some stuff. And then Loretta Kleist, who was the fan club leader back in the 80s, she had a treasure trove of stuff. And then, like I said, the treasure troves just kept coming. And it was so much to go through. But we did it. There was only 2 of us who made this. We had no assistance, except for Jeff Curie. He helped a little bit. But yeah, it was crazy.
Wow. So let's, and what makes that footage so great is that when these people in the documentary are telling their stories on cue every time the footage from the story pops up on screen. So it really does take you back to these stories that these guys are reliving on camera for you. So, but as you mentioned, a number of people in this documentary are sadly no longer with us. So, let's talk about a few of these people and give them their flowers, because you got like the last word from some of these people, and thankfully so much of it is positive. One of my favorite people in the documentary, of course, is Leonard. So funny. Like, honestly, every time he's on screen, I'm cracking up. Tell me about filming him and interviewing him, and what was it like being around him?
Well, Leonard Hayes, God rest his soul, was one of the funniest human beings you could ever meet. He was crazy, a partier, the life of the party. I filmed him with and without teeth. He didn't care. I ended up being the lead singer in his band Hayes X after he passed away. Who would have known that? But Leonard was great. I knew Leonard when he first left Y&T, because we used to work for Bill Graham Presents, being stagehands at Shoreline Amphitheater and whatever venue that we'd work, and he was quite the character. So I went to video him for the first time. We hadn't seen each other. His health was declining of COPD, but he still had a sense of humor all the way to the end.
Yeah. That's
great guy.
And that's what, again, one of the many things that's so cool about the doc is that you really capture his personality. Like,
I want to say something about Leonard. Leonard Hayes, Thunderfoot. Every drummer looked up to Leonard Hayes, and if you don't know, you drummers out there, look up Leonard Hayes. He was before, but I got to say something about Leonard. To the very end, he was totally into this documentary. He was so into it, and there was battles between him and Dave about stories. What's the truth? No, I know the truth. No, Leonard, you don't know shit. And it went back and forth, and I'm so sad that he was not able, same with Joey, to not see this documentary. It's a shame.
Absolutely. Well, it may be, but the fact that you tell their stories, I mean, we can see, we can remember them. And for me, who doesn't know as much about Y&T as you, I got to learn about his personality, and he is so awesome in that. So, but you're a drummer, and you just said, people learn about drumming, from Leonard. What did you, as a drummer, learn from Leonard?
Well, first speak slow.
Okay.
What did I learn from Leonard?
Yeah.
Well, I pride myself on my right foot, but now I'm playing double, but before the double came in, it was all about, that playing fast with one foot. How do you do it? Leonard Hayes was the king of that. Leonard was like John Bonham in a way. A lot of people compared him to John Bonham. And Ian Pace was his big idol as well. But, Leonard, his sticks were as big as my forearm. I have a pair of them somewhere, but if you're a drummer and you played with Leonard Hayes' sticks, I don't know how he did it, but he just smacked the shit out of him, man. No, but nobody, back then, Leonard Hayes was the guy. Bonham, Leonard Hayes, Ian Pace, it was amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Legendary. Another person who you mentioned that is no longer with us, sadly, of course, is Joey on guitar. His personality in the documentary comes across as so sweet and thoughtful and very kind-hearted. Can you tell us a little bit about what he was like in person and what he thought about the project as you're working on it?
You explained it perfectly. Joey Owls was a salt of the earth. He was very just humble and grateful and really reminisced about his life. And when we interviewed him, it was, if you see it in there, he picks up the guitar and I told him, I go, you are the lick master. He was the one who came up with a lot of the licks, like Rescue Me at the very beginning. And he was just grateful that everything that he got to do. And he, again, another guy who did not get to see this documentary, who wanted to so bad. And he was an amazing guy. I'm just sad that they're gone. But Joey, he came up with so many licks for Y&T. You really don't know it. You think it would be Dave or something, but it was Joey.
Another person who's no longer with us, who sadly passed away last year, was Greg Kinn.
Yes.
And he pops in the documentary. Very funny. How did you get a chance to talk to him?
Well, I recorded a song with Greg Kinn, Robert Berry, Chris Jackson, Carrie Noyd, who played with me last night. So Greg has always been friends with Y&T for a long time. Jill and Dave knew him, and they said, we got to have him over. And the funniest thing, when Greg Kinn showed up to my house for this interview, the first thing, he got out of the car, pulled out a big joint, and goes, mind if I smoke this? and so that interview was quite the interview. He brought his lawyer, and we just had the greatest time. And Greg Kinn, God rest his soul, he got to see the documentary, and he loved it and very appreciative. And, another legend gone.
Well, I'm sure one person who saw it many times and loved it, of course, is the main man, Dave Manichetti. He is so much fun in the documentary. I mean, he's got a story for everything. Obviously he had to have, some final say in how it all went. What did he tell you about the end result?
Well, he had the final say on the cuts.
Right.
So we sat in his living room, and we had a 4-hour version, which we whittled down to 2 hours and 15 minutes, which took a couple of days. But it was his stamp of approval on it before it got released. So, did he like it? Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was arduous journey for him because he just wanted it done.
Yep.
And it was really up to us, but we got it done. I'll leave it at that. He liked it.
Man.
So did his wife, his manager, Jill.
A 4-hour cut. Epic.
Yeah.
Can we get that up as like a mini series on some streamer? That sounds awesome.
John Nyman, the guitar player for that, he talked about we should have a 4-hour cut. Yes, but I don't know. That's a Jill and Dave decision down the road.
Well, tell me a little bit about being around Dave for all the years you have been, not just as the filmmaker, but as the tech working for the band. I mean, you've been around that guy. To me, he's a survivor and a road warrior. He's still out with that band today. What did you learn about Dave, the guy?
Dave Manichetti is one of the greatest rock singers of all time. And I don't think anybody will disagree with me there. And he can still do it the same as he could do it when he was in his 20s and play guitar. Dave is a great guy. He's got a heart of gold. He's a funny guy to hang out with. He's a fun guy to drink with.
Yeah.
It was an honor to be able to tour with them all over the U.S. and Europe and go to Hawaii and see him in long pants on the beach.
Speaking of drinking with him, I mean,
and in Mexico too.
Have you had any of his wines?
Oh well, it's sad that he stopped his wines.
Yeah.
But the Manichetti Pinot, which was made by 2 different winemakers, Testarossa at first, then went to Wrath. Some of the best wine I ever had, including their Chardonnay, and I'm sad that he stopped it.
Yeah.
I have like 2 bottles left.
Oh, that's awesome.
I wish he had just sold it, kept 10%, and we would be drinking it today.
That would be a great addition for Rock and Roll Happy Hour. You could, cheers with that.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Still trying to get him on the show.
I'll be sure to tune in when that happens.
My original host before Frankie J was Mike Vanderhill. So we did 18 shows of Rock and Roll Happy Hour with Mike. You can go to our Facebook page, and the link to the 18 previous shows are there.
In the documentary, one of the most jaw-dropping moments, at least for me, was when John Kolodner shows up. I just talked to Tom Zutat, who's got a panel here later today. Geffen Records, that's the label that YNT was on in the 80s. And John is in the documentary. Tell us about how did you get him to come on board?
John Kolodner was one of the most famous A&R reps, I believe, for Geffen.
Correct.
For a long time. I mean, Cher, Sammy Hagar, Aerosmith, you name it, YNT. That one was Geoff Ganz, my partner. I don't know how he did it. He made a call to somebody. We had numbers for all sorts of people. He got through, and the guy agreed. And everybody said, you're never going to get an interview with John Kolodner, but we did. And that was quite the interview when he showed up at our hotel room in Beverly Hills. So,
Well, tell us a little bit about that, because one of the interesting things in the doc is that John doesn't seem to be afraid to kind of be a bit of a villain in the story, where he says, yeah, we tried to turn him into Bon Jovi, and, pretty unapologetic about that. I mean, how does the rest of the band feel about him?
Well, they weren't there. They weren't there, but I was, and so was Geoff. And, John Kolodner, he made stars out of a lot of people. His vision for certain bands and what they should be doing was legendary. That's why they became who they became. John Kolodner had a vision for YNT, how they should sound like fucking Bon Jovi at one point. And that's, the direction they wanted to go. And that was also, when that happened, was the transition of Joey Alves going out of the band and that other guy coming in, Steph Burns. And there's a lot of stories with that. When YNT got let go, John Kolodner wanted to keep Dave Medichetti going because he believed in Dave, and he wanted to do an album with Peter Frampton, and it was all set up, multi-million-dollar deal, and Dave didn't want to do it. He just, all you got to do is just go and play with him, and Dave didn't do it. And it's, Dave, he felt at that time that he just wanted to take some time off, build a home studio, and go in his own direction. You got to respect him as a person, a human being, to do what you want to do. So, but John had another vision to do an album with that lead singer, what's his name, from 38 Special?
Don Barnes.
Don Barnes, yeah. That another album set up to do a Dave Medichetti Don Barnes record, from my understanding, and the same thing didn't happen. But can you imagine Peter Frampton and Dave Medichetti doing a record together? I would just love to hear that. Do you feel like we do? I don't know. I can't imitate Dave. I tried once, didn't work.
Yeah, you might blow out your vocal cords.
Yeah. They let me sing Mean Streak in a sound check once. That was about as fun as I got to have singing with the band.
Do you think Dave wanted to stay with the band because it was just another example of record companies trying to force a square peg through a round hole? Because that seems to be one of the things that comes up in the documentary again and again, is that different labels were trying to make them do different things that didn't make a whole lot of sense. Yeah, well, what was happening was Whitesnake came in, Guns N' Roses came in, and they just got shuffled down to the bottom of the deck. But like the 10 record was amazing. Put that up against anybody. That's an amazing record. And it's sad, and that's when they just got let go. I mean, Dave was distraught, to say the least, about that. I mean, that was if they don't put everything into this, might as well just disband, and that's unfortunately exactly what happened. Oh, wow. Sad. Yeah, that is a bummer. But it also gives some, the doc gives some explanation to fans who wonder, like, that album is so good, why didn't it sell? Especially because that was a time that hard rock was really popular. They should have been as big as Whitesnake or Guns N' Roses at that time.
And still.
Yeah, absolutely. and you would think being on the label like Geffen, they would have got that support, but it just didn't happen.
Yeah, and it looked like they had a two album deal with that, and they really thought at that point that it was going to happen, and unfortunately it didn't. It's sad, I mean, that's the way the music business is. You get in, at least back then, and then grunge came out and everything changed. But yeah, the Guns N' Roses, Whitesnake, all those bands if you look at the pictures of everybody at that time, they all started to have the I guess the hair and the glam look and all of that. And it was just everybody looked the same, but it was the people, who the record company put their money into.
Well, I think it's a testament to Dave's character that he was pretty cool with you bringing in people like John Kalodner.
He was amazed.
Yeah. Well, him being comfortable to hear their perspective on it. So, I mean, was there people that Dave was not crazy about you talking to, or was he, pretty open-minded about it?
I don't want to answer for Dave on that.
Fair enough.
We really pushed to get a lot of people in, especially Sammy Hagar. I have friends who work with him, and I said, he was right there. And graciously, Sammy agreed to do it. That wasn't from Dave, even though it was part from Dave, and it was us also pushing to get him in. And thank God we got him in, because he was a wealth of information as well, because as he said, they both came out of the chute at the same time.
And that is so important, because people got to realize that Y&T is not a late 80s, Johnny-come-lately hair metal band. They were there going back to the 70s.
Yeah. And I got to say something about Sammy Hagar, who I absolutely love, and have been a huge Sammy Hagar fan. I got to fucking interview him. And I was sitting there going, holy shit, I'm interviewing Sammy Hagar, and so that was, he was very gracious. We sat and we hung out with his law Ferrari, and he just talked about all of his cars, and I have all that video, but that's for another story.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome. Of all the people you talked to, who was the toughest interview to get?
Oh, shit. We did 100 interviews.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. Dee Snider took a while, but he got in there, and we had to finally went to L.A. immediately. We had to go, like tomorrow. So we were left at 2 a.m., and we shot down to L.A., and we met him in some radio station place somewhere. But he was a cool dude.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Great guy. He was a great interview. It was funny.
Yeah, tell us about that one. What did you ask him about, and what did he have to say about the band?
Well, basically, as if you watch the documentary, there's Twisted Sister was on the East Coast, and Y&T was on the West Coast, so it was kind of a East-West Coast thing, as he says, with no fighting.
no gang wars?
Yeah, no gang wars. So, yeah, but Dave, Dee is a huge Dave Medichetti fan, and if you watch the documentary in there, there's some point where, or it might be on the extra. I only have 2 copies for sale, by the way. I only brought 2, so get them while they go, before they go. But Dee, there's a video in there of he was talking about, and I think it's on the second DVD, which is it's a plethora of fun. They were playing together, and Dee heard Dave singing Forever, and he never comes out of his dressing room. He stays back there until the show. Nobody doesn't talk to anybody. When he heard that, he ran out on a stage, and we have a video of it. And he just started drumming, running to each microphone, and they're all looking at him, what the hell? But yeah, he was talking about those stories, and if you got to watch the second DVD, so there's a lot of video in there of Dee. But he's a great guy, super happy, super funny, and I'd love to interview him again anytime, Dee, if you're listening.
Well, hopefully he shows up on the Rock and Roll Happy Hour.
Yeah.
With Mark and Frankie J. Well, does anybody have any questions from the audience? Anybody want to ask anything about Y&T, all things Y&T? No worries if not. Oh, here, come on over.
I was going to say, first off, thank you for making this documentary, because I am a massive Y&T fan from back when first in the 80s. I mean, I think 10 should have been the biggest fucking record of their career. That record is amazing. Yeah. From day one, I've been a huge fan, and the documentary filled, I shouldn't say day one, I wasn't there then, but, from I think I first discovered them with Mean Streak, and then just fell in love with them ever since. And the documentary filled in so many blanks for me that I didn't know, because they got press, but they didn't get so much. They didn't get that kind of press that they should have got. They should have had so much more happen to them. But what I loved about the documentary, especially, was hearing from Leonard, who I'd never seen in an interview before, or Joey. Never even knew what they sounded like. And one of the things with Joey, it just seemed very bittersweet to me.
Yes.
He seemed like there was almost like this element of sadness that he left the band. And I don't know what all that entailed and all that. I've heard and read different things, but man, I can't say it. Just thank you so much. The document, I could just go on and on about it. Like I said, I watched it 3 times, and telling the whole story to the there was, like you mentioned about Led Zeppelin, you didn't leave anything unturned. It answered questions for me, but it covered, you didn't just gloss over that, like a middle period where they didn't have hits or it didn't happen. You really got in there, and man, I can just again thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for the question and comment. Another satisfied customer, Mark. Well done.
That's right. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate that.
We got one over here. See if we can. I'll give you mine, but I'm all tangled up.
Oh, actually got questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan as well. Did you guys? Was there any members that wanted to keep it going, or was it like a unanimous thing? Like everyone's like, "Fuck it."
You mean
at the end of the 80s when they split?
In 1990? Well, the whole band wanted to keep it going, because if you look at the players for that 10 record, I mean, even though Steve Smith played drums on it for every song except 2, yeah, the band wanted to keep going. They were signed. They had John Clodner behind them. They were ready to go. And they did videos and nobody ever saw it. MTV played them twice, and that was it. And then it was over. Yes, they wanted to keep going. I know if I was in their shoes, I would be. And Dave was, again, very distraught that happened. The whole band was, but as you know, so many people, can't remember all their names, but yeah, as they said, they wanted to keep going. Of course they did. And they're still going today. So there's that. Yeah. Oh, we have a question. Dave Meniketti is not going out on a full tour this year. They did some California dates because he moved to Italy. He moved from Santa Clara to Italy. They've always wanted to do that, Dave and Jill did. So what they're doing is they're doing a European tour. They're going out for 10 shows with Gotthard. I believe that's the way you pronounce it. They'll be opening with them in Europe. And they will be back in California to do the Mystic Theater shows and maybe a couple other ones. But no U.S. tour is planned. Unfortunately. I did a lot of them. Yeah, and they're playing next weekend in Reno and Sacramento. So if you're in California, don't forget you can only get one of these at the shows now because the store is gone. Here in Nashville, if the price is right, I'm sure, if
that's a big factor.
They call those, as you well know, fly dates. I know they love playing in Nashville. And we loved coming through here and hanging with everybody. Everybody in the U.S., when I was on tour with them, everywhere we went, they loved them. And they keep going, when are you coming back? So, Dave, if you're listening to this, I guess you got to get back out and play a U.S. tour. At least but they're going to do the Monsters of Rock cruise next year. They'll be on that. They're doing, I believe, they're doing M3. I'm not sure. I know that they usually do it. I don't know if I know it doesn't help you,
yeah.
But if you want to talk to me about getting them to Nashville, I'd be more than happy to pass the word on. You can scratch my coattails, yeah.
Yeah, we need Dave here at ROCKNPOD. That's what we need.
I tried to get him here, but he but you never know. Maybe next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for the question. His question was, are we going to get him back to Nashville? I'm going to try.
Well, here's
A
cross
lot
our
of
fingers.
a lot of YNT fans in Nashville, I can tell you that.
Hell yeah. So I have an audience question for you.
All right, you got to stand out there.
Okay.
Just kidding.
Whatever happened to Rock the Robot?
Okay, everybody asks, where is the Rock the Robot suit? I searched my ass off. I had a lead on parts of it, and it fell through. But John Nyman, who was in the suit in that San Francisco Civic and many other shows, he was the one who was Rock the Robot. And there was other crew guys that did it, but John really liked it because he loved the smell of the inside of the suit so much because it was really him. But but we are still searching for Rock the Robot. So if anybody knows where Rock is, or a hand, or a head, we're still trying to find him. We still had a lead, but it just fizzled out. I believe me, nobody wanted to find Rock the Robot more than me.
Okay, we got one more question. Time for one more.
Yeah.
He changed up the song Hard Times in concert. Doesn't play it like the record.
I got to tell you something. That song Hard Times is so badass. And they play it today. I wish they would re-record it because I think it would smoke the original recording, even though that's killer. But yeah, if you ever get to see YNT, you just request Hard Times. Dave will probably play it because I think he loves that song
that's awesome.
more than you or me. I mean, it is badass for sure.
So just a couple of questions before we wrap up here. The documentary is done. It's a masterpiece. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
But given the opportunity, hypothetically, if you ever had the chance to make another documentary about a different band, what is a band that you think is underserved and needs a documentary like the one you made?
Ron Keel.
Hey, there he is.
We need to do a documentary on Ron Keel. What do you think?
All right.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Ron is one of the biggest YNT fans, too. I mean, here he comes now. You can't get away. Ron Keel, we love you, man.
We need a Ron Keel documentary.
That's
now.
right.
That's the next project.
I think there's more information about Ron Keel than Ron Keel even knows.
I think we would call it a Ronumentary.
All right, now we're talking.
You heard it first. Ronumentary.
All right, currently in pre-production.
That's right.
Okay. Well, as we're wrapping up here, speaking of Ron, you host the Rock and Roll Happy Hour with Frankie J right here.
Frankie J, Rock and Roll Happy Hour.
All right, shout out. Let's talk about that podcast. What do you do on that podcast?
Okay, well, during
radio show.
Yeah, thank you. During COVID, I had a bright idea. I said, I want to do a radio show with Mike Vanderheuvel, the drummer from YNT. So he's like, okay, sounds like good. I ain't doing shit. I can't go anywhere or do anything. So we started interviewing famous rock stars like Steve Lukather, Fee Waybill, Billy Sheehan. He's out here somewhere. And so artists like that. We did 18 shows. There were 3-hour shows. And we had those on SammyRadio.com since we moved to a way better station, KRFKRadio.com. Thank you, Ron Keel, for having Rock and Roll Happy Hour. Mike left because he was very busy teaching and playing drums. And Frankie J, I'm honored to have you as my co-host to keep Rock and Roll Happy Hour going. Ron Keel, I'm happy that you are having our show. And we just interviewed Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine. So that's the caliber of musicians that we have on our show. George Lynch, Tom Morello. We've got who else we got coming up? Oh, Ron Keel, Billy Sheehan, all these guys here. We're honored. Thank you, Ron, and we appreciate you. Don Felder, we got coming up sometime. Yeah,
that's awesome.
This is the kind of caliber Rock and Roll Happy Hour is going to have. So stay tuned and tune in every Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on KFRK. We air those shows first on Ron Keel, and then we also are, like you, Ron, are on Rock Rage Radio as well. But we do Ron Keel's, all of our shows air first on Ron Keel's radio station.
Okay, that is awesome.
RFK krfkmedia.com, krfkradio.com. Frankie, please get it right. It's Ron fucking Keel.
Yeah, he's right there. Come on. Don't let us down. Awesome. Well, I got to say, Mark, this has been so great talking with you about this documentary. I absolutely love it. Like I said, I'm a huge rock doc nerd. This is one of the best ones I've ever seen. And what's crazy is I've only seen half of it because I haven't seen all the extras that are on this disc. So if you got a couple left over, I hope people come over and buy these from you.
I've only got two, and they're $20 a piece. That is a deal for 5 hours worth of documentary stuff, which only took 4 years of my life. So
that's called bang for your buck. So, Mark, thank you very much for sitting down with me. This has been a blast chatting with you. Last question as we walk out of here. What's your favorite Y&T song?
Hard Times, baby.
Hard Times. Okay.
I like hard. I just want to say, if you have a chance to go see Y&T, still do it. They're still kicking ass, and Dave can sing like the guy is unstoppable. And the band in this form, they're going very strong. And thank you so much for everybody listening. And please watch go to Amazon and download the Y&T documentary On With the Show. It's like $6, I think, for the movie, but I've got two of these, so anybody wants them, first come, first serve, $20 a piece, and you get to see the second DVD, which is over 2 hours of more footage, which I'm really trying to get Y&T to release, at least on like Patreon, like Ron does, or on the Y&T website somewhere. So one day, hopefully. But one thing I have to say that never got onto the Y&T documentary was a blooper reel.
Oh.
And I come on, Dave. And he was like, no, we can't put the blooper reel on. But I am still going to get that blooper reel because it's funny.
Release the blooper reel. Release the 4-hour cut. That's what we need. Yeah. All right. Y&T, On With the Show, on Amazon Prime right now. Thank you very much, Mark White. I appreciate it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
And thank you all for coming out. This has been awesome. Thank you.
Hey!
Hey, thanks for listening. You know, there's no shortage of great content out there, so you choosing to spend some time listening to this show means quite a lot. If you're so inclined, please give this podcast a 5-star rating and a positive review wherever you get your podcasts. And share our links wherever you can. Or mention this show to anyone you know looking for a podcast recommendation. All of this helps us out a great deal, and I appreciate it. You can connect with us on social media too. We are at Play That Podcast on Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, and even TikTok. Or we are at Play That Rock and Roll on YouTube and Instagram. Please post a comment and say hello. Finally, Play That Rock and Roll is a proud member of the Pantheon podcast community. So if you're looking for more music podcasts beyond this one, trust me, start with Pantheon. You won't be disappointed. Otherwise, I appreciate any and all efforts you take to support us here at Play That Rock and Roll. Be sure to join us next time for more great music and stories from the world of classic rock.